Yeah, you know, we were talking a little bit earlier off camera that the whole Moto Monday thing literally started with a phone, and when Facebook came out with the whole live feature, which was pretty cool, and we would put the phone and just propped up and we sit on some stools, and now it's literally gone to the spot of we have a studio, we have guys helping us, and we have all this going on,
It's
which
an amazing
huge shout out to
setup.
Bobby P Media for making this happen here. And
Bobby!
this is Moto Monday.
Go
This is Moto
Bobby.
Monday, number 120, and we have
Awesome.
Donny Proctor on. What's going on, dude?
Hey,
know,
good to be
I
here,
don't know
man.
if I've ever actually met you in person.
You know what? Many times I've heard you announcing and seen some of the stuff going on there up there at Riverdale, and it's like you were busy and I'm at one end with, you know, screaming kids on mini bikes and all that, and it's like I gotta get up there. And you always, good intentions, right? We always mean well, but there's only so many hours in a day, and I've seen you the last couple of years just, I mean, a man of many hats in the moto industry, and my hat's off to you because I know how hard it can be. It's like we've said last night, in today's world, you know, you've got to be able to take our Northwest Motocross, and when tracks are closed, we got graphics, we got shirts, we got other venues and things to do, and I just I commend you for that, because that's really really something to have the wherewithal to keep it all together.
I want to, so I've never had a real job, ever. I've never actually worked for anyone, and it'd probably be hard to do because I don't even have a high school diploma. I'm a dropout. I've always done my own thing, and I wanted to do things, I wanted to make a living in what I enjoy. And so, you know, one of my favorite things, we had a very long phone conversation recently.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
But, you know, two of my favorite loves, honestly, motocross is number one, but
Yes, sir.
MMA and fighting is number
Yes,
two.
sir.
And I almost use like MMA as like a way to off gas, a way to, it's an escape for me. And
Yes, sir.
I enjoy because it's in the same realm, but it's different, and it's almost a little bit of an escape, but it's still very similar. But I wanted to make a living around the things I enjoy. So, you know, those are two of the main things. I won't go into a couple other stuff. I have a couple other hobbies too, but those are the main ones, and like I wanted to make a living doing those. The problem is, okay, so I like dirt bikes. There's a lot of people who like dirt bikes, and there's a lot of people who want to make a living in dirt bikes.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir.
it's extremely hard to make a living in motocross. You can ask any shop owner out there, and I know this as I was a shop rat. My dad actually owned a motorcycle dealership when I was young, and
did
so
not know that.
I mean, I
That's
was
cool.
11, 12 years old working the counter and all that kind of stuff. So I was
Very
always doing it,
cool.
and I learned very early on. Yeah, you don't get rich doing motocross stuff. You don't. Absolutely not. But what if I promoted? I start a clothing company. I do graphics. I start an Amazon shop. You spread out enough, you make a living, and I enjoy it.
I think it's good. I think it's good. And I mean, like we said even last night, you know, you're taking, well, we talked about riders that have came and gone in our sport, that when they were racing, they were really something, right? But then they lose that drive, they lose that way of how to win in life, you know? And look, some guys, when they're done racing motocross, I mean, it's hard to match that adrenaline. It's hard to match that whole on the edge and, you know, instantaneous 0 to 80 or whatever it is. And so, you know, the world after racing can be a little bit lonely. And I mean, I was a guy that aspired so badly to be, you know, an Eric Eaton, a Lance Smale, Dallas Nyblood. He got me my start when I was a kid, took me to the races, and Dallas is, you know, I call all the guys older than me uncle out of respect, part of the martial art thing, you know. And so Uncle Dallas, you know, he took me, worked on my bike, and basically showed me everything. This is how you tighten a chain, this is that. I can remember being in the 9th grade, 1984, and I just had this feeling come over me. I'm sitting in the stands in the Kingdome. Eric Eaton is on the line. I didn't know Eric from anybody, and I knew Jeff Chapman because he was a few years older, and I was a speed skater, and he'd once in a while show up for speed practices, you know, skating at the local rink that we did. But I remember running down on the starting line, and here's Eric Eaton looking at me, and I'm like, little kid, hey, I just wanted to wish you luck, man, go get him. And he's looking at me like, who is this guy? Well, now he's one of my best friends. He's like family to me. I've rode for the shop and worked at the shop and worked for him, and still call the shop home. So thanks, Uncle Lee, I love you.
So this is going to be a lot of fun because I've known your name, and apparently you've seen me around and stuff, but we've never really had much conversations until very recently.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So I'm curious now. So oh man, I have so many questions.
Lay it on me.
Where did the Pale Rider come from?
Oh, this is the one.
I've literally, I believe, seen it on your graphics.
Yes, sir.
And when I mentioned you were going to come on the podcast, everyone was like, oh, the Pale Rider's coming on. So what's the Pale Rider?
Woo! It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. I may need have just one little sip of water.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to start off with that.
I can do that. I don't know how to do this real. Okay, here we go. So I was a young man, about 20 years old, and I had a very good friend of mine that was a speed skater.
Speed skater.
Yeah, good-looking dude. Hadn't seen him in years, right?
Okay.
And seen him out at these dance clubs, right? And he said, "Man, you still got some moves, right on. Cool, you're still," because we used to break dance and do all this stuff as kids. I was real into it. And he says, "Hey, you got to meet me at this place." I was single, there's all kinds of gals and this and that, and you'll love it. Well, I didn't know. So I go to this place, and true to his word, there's ladies lined up all the way around the building. And it didn't dawn on me till I walk inside. There's dudes running around. I don't know if we can do this. Come on, Pale. Okay. We dudes walk around with these little butterfly, collars and not much else, right?
Okay.
So then I hear this, which one? And I look back in the corner, and my cousin is back there, and then our buddy, and they're holding up these shorts, these little bikini tiger stripe shorts, and these mint green deals. Which one?
I was not ready for this, but keep going.
Yeah, no, it's a horrible. This is how it all came to fruition. This is how it all came to fruition. I'm trying to speed it up, and it's making me nervous. But yeah, so I opted for the tiger stripes, and I said, "I'm not doing this." And there you go, "You're absolutely doing it. All these big dudes you're not leaving, you're going to go do this." I said, "I can't possibly go do that." So 6.5 years later, I was still doing it. And motocross parents, how do you like me now? Anyway, I just, Pale Rider was born. I got the nickname, and it kind of stuck. And thank God, guys, cell phones were not around then.
So you got into a tiger mankini?
Yeah, it was did the male strip thing for 6.5 years, and it's funny because I was a skinny little guy. I was skinnier than
I was
lunch.
not ready for this whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I can I go home now? Is it? I think we're all good here. Everybody cut. It's been a great show.
This is already going to be I know this is going to be the best podcast we've done. Okay.
So, my family, nobody knew, and my closest friends that I rode with, raced with, and stuff. And once in a while they go, "Dude, you were like gone on Thursday nights. You just, disappear." I go, I don't know, a girlfriend, whatever. Always lying, trying to fish my way out of it because I would have just died had my family known. I would have never
they know
wanted.
now?
They do, unfortunately. And
apparently everybody else in the motor industry now also knows.
Yeah, but back then it was this funny thing because I was scared to death of it, and I always loved rock and roll music, and I loved to sing. And when I got a little bit older, I kind of took that whole thing, and the hair was long, and it was a wild time, and a couple cranberry whatevers later, and you think, you know what, I can do this, and I'm all of 130 pounds, and I won't go into some of the stories, but there was some, interesting nights where you get chased around by gals with really big hands, and it was just not a lot of fun, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway.
So that's where it came from.
That's
and you
how
stuck with the name.
Yeah, stuck with it. Out of a joke, my roommate actually had brought it up because she caught me. This is a horrible story. I was actually practicing in my room, getting ready for the big show. She was in my closet and came out, and I was so embarrassed. And I remember telling her, "Mouse, you can't say anything." And
Mouse?
she's going, yeah. She had a nickname, and like a sister. I lived.
Okay.
These guys had, we had Max Air Racing back in the '90s, and so Jeff Pugh was like big brother to me, and his wife, Michelle, we called Mouse. So it was Stinky, Mouse, and Pale Rider. She kind of gave me the nickname, and it kind of stuck, and there it is. It just won't go away. Even on my AMA license, when I renewed for Washougal, they said, "There's no Donny Proctor, but there's a Pale Rider." I went, "Oh yeah, no, of course there is. That'd be the guy. Yeah, that's me." So
This is already the best podcast
Yeah.
I've ever done.
I'm
All right,
completely embarrassed.
so-
and there we go. Completely tripping and blurbling over this whole story, but yeah, fun times.
I had literally zero idea, but
Yeah, I wanted to
Okay.
keep it that way.
okay.
And then Thanksgiving of 2006, my daughters were home for Thanksgiving, and my wife, I'm in there grabbing a prime rib out of the oven. Wife has a couple glasses of wine, and she just fires the whole story off.
Oh no.
And I wanted to literally stick my head in the oven. I couldn't even go in. So I walk out, and I remember my girls looking at me, and they were maybe, I don't know, 17, 16 at the time, and I'm thinking, oh, this is not good, not at all, because I'd never wanted anybody to know. But now I'm old, so it don't matter. I used to shake it. No.
Well, now we know. Okay. Well, I wish Reese was here. He couldn't speak right now.
no.
Reese is not going to be here today, but
I get so nervous to drop my mic. Is that okay? Is it good?
let's get you hooked back up before we keep going.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Something about some of these stories. I bet Wanchi. That was from Wanch, wasn't it?
No,
No.
actually, Eric.
Oh.
So I did talk to Eric Wanch over the weekend.
That's so funny.
And I let him know that I was going to have you on. And
Oh, we got some fantastic.
Which, by the way, I don't know how good of friends you are, but he does think highly of you.
Oh, yeah, no,
But he
love
also
him.
says that you have a lot of stories. So Eric Wanch is someone I would also love to get on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
There's some people who we've done call-ins to, but we've never actually had on. People like Ryan Huffman, Lance Smale, Eric Wanch.
Oh, boy.
And I would still love to get Ryan Terlecki on. There's
Yes.
just some guys that I know we could do a 6-hour podcast
Oh,
and
it'd be
barely
so
scratch the
fun.
surface. And I love to hear some of the moto stories, some of the stuff that went on,
It-
because a lot of that stuff gets forgotten. Because a lot of this, I think the real mecca for motocross was honestly like 96 to 05. In my mind,
Yes,
that was
sir.
really a mecca. And it was
yeah.
when the internet was really new, and there's not a lot of stuff recorded and saved from that. You know,
Yeah.
and there's like so much that went down. It's when, we transitioned from box vans to semis.
Mm-hmm.
It's when we really started exploding. Jeremy McGrath came out and went from, Champions did okay to, Champions make millions now.
The full Bud Light thing, the 1-800 collect. I mean, all of the .com stuff took off, and it was
X Games came
Yes,
out.
sir.
It was like taking that next step.
Yeah, it
And
was.
we haven't experienced, in my mind, another step since then.
No.
We've kind of just been doing our thing, which, it's fine. But there was a lot happening really fast in there. And
Growth
there's
was
so
crazy.
many fun stuff from there. And I would love to hear it. Like, I've had McCormick on, I think, 3 times.
Jason,
and some
Ryan,
of his
those
stories,
guys, yeah.
I'm still working on trying to get Huffman in and McCormick at the same time.
I remember so many crazy fun. For me, like I always said, I considered myself a Class B ball player. I wanted and aspired to be a pro, and I'd worked at it. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. But after the first 2 knee surgeries and broken ankle, I never talked about it, but I did have a lot of fear. And as I got older, I had to come to grips with that. Like this year, recently, I can remember many times being out in arena cross, feeling like corner speed was good. I'd get Wanch mad, Whipple mad. You're coming out of the corner, and then you're just dynamiting it. I didn't want to feel the impact, and so I, whatever. And then they were 3-day events, so it seemed like by Sunday I was ready to go racing. But those were such great times, and for me, traveling around with Lee Collins and,
Little Lee, yes.
Whipple and Wanch and those guys, and I have to go easy. I've got some great stories, but like Whipple says, he's got more dirt on me than a Supercross track, and I think, well, I don't know. I kind of want to shove a little his, out there and see how it goes. But we had some great times, and I look back, here I am, 52 years old, and God, what a blessing, what a blessing to be able to say, I had Lance Smale at my wedding, Jay Whipple, I, became friends with Eric Wanch, Eric Eaton, Bob Hanna, I got to tram in my idol, I got to do a motocross school, and he rode my RM 125 with my big brother Ross Erkers, who I've raced with for years, and didn't wash my bike for 2 weeks. Bob, we shared my 125 all day, and it was just, you look back at some of these memories, and meeting Brock Glover last year through Dallas Nyblood, it's just been, everything that you aspire or think of when you're a little boy really does come true to fruition if you believe it, and you can achieve it, kind of a thing. And I had to step out away from martial art people and motocross people this year and really do some soul searching. And a very good friend of mine, and also my life coach, I'm happy to say, Matt Starr, who's the drummer for Ace Frehley's solo band, and also he does life coaching, and the guy has just been a huge help because he's not somebody that's been influenced by motocross or martial arts like both of our. Sometimes you just got to step away and get a clean perspective, and he actually said, what is it you want to do? Do you still want to do this? Yeah, I do. And I don't even think I admitted it to myself. I still want to train kids in martial arts. I still want to maybe compete a little bit if my knees aren't going to fall apart like they do. And same with racing. I still want to do some of that. I'm just not ready to hang it up yet. And I believe that all those childhood dreams that you hang on to keep you going. And it's the guys when they get older, like we talked about last night, they let go or they stop believing. And then, you see them wherever, maybe on a bar stool, reliving 1992 every day. I don't want that for anybody I know, and I have had a chance to experience some of that, in years past. I mean, I went through a pretty dark place after my dad passed away, and it was a real eye-opener. You had to really dig deep, and I could fake smile around all my friends, and yeah, man, no, I'm good. I was dying inside. I was just over it, But I came to grips with it, and Matthew Ray, one of my Taekwondo coaches, got me going on the right track, and Master Lee, who I've known since I was a little boy, physically got me going, whether I wanted to or not. He's just a real hardcore trainer, and so it was a blessing, Glad to be here and just have a whole outlook.
A lot in a short amount of
time. I know, and
all right. So I got to
lay it
ask
on me.
Then. We're gonna skip past the tiger thong and all of that.
Please.
Going back to dirt bikes. So you're 52. You've been racing for a while.
Yes, sir.
You've been racing for a while. What would you say is the best accomplishment you've made? Because I'm assuming, like a lot of people, you kind of went through the ranks. You know what I mean? You were here.
Yes,
you made
sir.
the level. You made the level up. You made the level up, and you've raced against some fast boys. What would you say some of your, if there's not one, maybe a couple, your accomplishments? Whether that it doesn't have to be like the finish, but for you, because for example, my biggest accomplishment is actually I don't even think I can say this on screen, but it was not the races I won. It was what I did against someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There you go.
Basically, there was a high-profile rider that I was in a battle with. I had no reason to be in a battle with.
Right, but you did it anyway, and
and I cleaned him out.
I love it.
So
that's the one we talk about. Yeah, it's good.
So
there we go.
That's one of mine. But for you, what would you say is some of the accomplishments that you're like, that was awesome. That was cool. I can think back on that and relish that memory.
I think there's been a few really good ones. One of the first accomplishments on a personal note is I can remember when it was a Friday night race, and Lance had been gone on the road, whatever, he was racing a DeMarini ride. DeMarini ride, KTM, doing all that stuff, and I was, riding Friday night up in, every Friday trying to get there. And I always loved the way Lance could corner and do starts. It was just, he could do everything on a bike, but the way that guy could roost a berm was like, you know what? If I could ever do anything, I just want to do that over and over. I don't care if I'm in last place. I just want to do smale berms all day and I'm good, right? Mm-hmm. So he shows up on the line and we, 125 pro class, whatever, and we all the local guys, we called ourselves dollar pros because it was a dollar purse, dollar entry fee, and then you got the full payout. And I kept thinking, I want to try to start with Lance as hard as I can. I just want to see if I can get to the first corner. And it was that whole page of, when people talk about a whole nother level, and I was, never on that guy's level or any of those guys, but you aspired to be, you wanted to be. We're going down the start straight and we're running, out of real estate really quick. And I'm thinking, well, he's just a human being. He can't hold it on forever, right? He can't.
I've said the same thing.
Yeah,
I've been wrong.
Yeah, no, it's true. And you're thinking, there's no room. You can't go that fast. And just super gracefully, as I bail out, hair on fire, oh my God, and he'd just shoot through there and make it like smooth. And I'd be, how, whatever, and just humbled by it. And he'd smile, whatever, always, good about it. But that was like the first time I thought, that's a huge step. And then on a personal note, as far as when I thought I was, what felt really good, I went to Mammoth in 05 and raced the Vet Pro class with a good buddy of mine, my other brother, David Lapitan. And we did 35-minute motos, and McGrath was there, Ty Davis, Jeff Ward, bunch of heavy hitters, and I was running back and forth to Sanacan because it was high altitude, and I'm like, oh my God, I probably shouldn't be here with these guys. This is not Friday night at SIR. Yeah, and it was super fun. And for a few minutes when the gate dropped, I was running okay, like maybe 10 minutes, but that altitude got me, and I realized, wow, conditioning, diet, really believing, not being a guy that has one foot on a rock and roll, stage or wanting to play music and sing and do all that, and one foot in maybe a martial art arena, and then one foot as a motocross coach, and these guys are 100% committed to their craft, and that's the difference, Sure, they mountain bike and they train and they do all that. I seem to have, been a bit scatterbrained. I loved a little bit of everything, but I had realized early on that, wow, those guys are seriously committed. And it was humbling. And I was proud to be there with them, but, 20 minutes later, it's a whole different story. It's like, holy cow, these guys are not slowing down. The bumps are getting bigger. They're going faster. So I took it all in my notebook of moto life, and hung on to it. And now at 52, I try to share that with the kids, being in shape, being fit, trying to not be too scatterbrained. It's great to love a little bit of everything, but it's really hard to be good. They always say, try to be good at one thing. I always thought, martial arts and motocross, yeah, the whole world's going to do it. It's going to be a big thing. It'll be great. But it's not always that way. It's tough, Mm-hmm. So that was an accomplishment to ride with those guys. And then, of course, getting my pro license was a huge accomplishment because really I almost didn't get it. I was so nervous, threw up in my truck, and the guy was watching, back then. He had to watch you on an outdoor, and then he had to watch you on an indoor. And I was just a train wreck.
So when did you get your pro license?
1995.
95.
Yeah, but I never actually got my Supercross credential, which is really embarrassing. Never used it once because I knew better. I just didn't belong. I wanted to, thought I could, but that fear, And I got that in 05, and I think I was eligible in 03, but I would watch these guys, and I had local pros, good friend of mine, Brian Gooden, who was a pretty good rider since he was a kid, and he really struggled, out there. And I thought, well, I'm going to stick with arena cross because, Uncle Lee will give me $50 for gas money. These guys will give me a ticket to the emergency room, and I just think I know better, So as much as I wanted it and as much as I wish I could say, God, I rode a supercross. That's one thing I never did do. And I look at Whipple, he worked really hard in his craft too, but he never rode a main event. And not making fun of you, Anthony, just,
Hey, man, it's tough to do.
It's a tough sport, man.
So my cousin races supercross, Mason, Mason Wharton, and I've ridden with him. And I remember the day when he got faster than me. It was super annoying, but I'm like, he is flying. And then he went faster and faster and faster. And then he got his pro card, and then he did a couple nationals, and he got his super. And like, that kid is a training beast. He can fly, and he struggles to even make the night show.
It's
just
so
to make the
crazy.
show.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show. Actually, I love seeing Washougal Nationals because you'll see your local heroes.
Yeah, for sure.
Your local heroes that you watch day in, day out, especially like for me, it's PIR.
Yeah.
Thursday Night
Beautiful
Motocross
track,
at PIR
by the way.
Like 10-minute drive from me. I go there all the time. And you see some of the hot shots that they look outstanding, especially when you go ride with them. Like, how do you even do that? They show up at the Nationals.
Yes, sir.
And they get lapped.
No, it's weird.
There's levels. And
Yeah.
it's insane how many levels, and you don't really realize it until you see some of the local just studs, complete studs.
Just
get
do
thrown.
it, yeah.
I mean, nothing against Tommy Week. Tommy Week is one of our fastest riders we have around here. He's coaching. He's been racing pro for I don't know how long. And he goes and shows up at a national, and it's like, oh wait, Tommy's human.
Yeah.
Like you see Tomek pass him like he's standing still. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's crazy to see the levels. It is honestly crazy. And then I've never been to Loretta's. Actually, and Mammoth is honestly on my bucket list. I've never been. I would love
next
to go
year.
just
Maybe we
try
could go.
Mammoth.
It'd be great.
Hopefully they have it next year.
I hope so.
But it is wild to see.
It's very
your local
amazing.
heroes just get completely owned. But then you start thinking about, okay, so we have our group. Let's say our group is Washington, right?
Yes, sir.
There's 50 states.
Yeah. No, it's
Every
crazy.
state has their own studs, their own heroes.
Yeah.
And you get to somewhere like Loretta's, it's the #1 stud from every state, all now suddenly in one spot, and
ready to go.
You're like, oh wow, there is really a crazy
right
level to
now.
this.
Yeah, and I mean, look at Levi Kitchen right now. He's that guy. Yeah,
that was so insanely impressive.
Yeah,
because Levi is the nicest kid. And he's been doing this for a while. I used to sponsor him years back for a few years. Super cool family. They live right above the track at Washougal. He's always been a top dog around here locally, but on the national scene, he's never quite been there. You know what?
No.
Like, he'll sometimes make a showing where he'll put in a really good moto, and he'll he gets noticed for a moment, but then he's like 11th, and then 7th, and then 14th. He's never made that splash on the national scene, but whatever happened, I don't know what happened.
Isn't it something?
But this year at Loretta's,
that door opens. Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, when he wins every single moto he enters.
By a lot,
and
right?
by like 30 seconds.
I mean, come on. That's a lifetime, I mean, you see when someone crosses a line with a 3-second lead or a 4-second, whatever that's like. This
if you
guy,
win by 3 seconds, you
come
had
on.
a good race.
Yeah, I mean, and
30? I've never won a race by 30 seconds.
It's crazy. And I think back, I mean, the 90s again, you look at machines, I like to use, and there was a lot of them, but Hagseth and Smale, those two guys, I mean, they would just feed off of each other, and they had these levels, right? Hag would do a crazy something, whatever, and then Lance would do it, or Lance would do something. And, when you're an aspiring pro, or you're just racing a Friday night pro, local, whatever, weekend thing, and you're going, God, how? I mean, it's a whole nother deal. Scott Steffi and all those guys. I mean, I can remember so many times that just the technique and the drive and the little bit of nuances that they would do, just corner speed or the way they'd brake or find a bump. And as I get older, I'm really into that now, and I try to show, my riders. It's just so cool to watch, the way Levi might transition to a corner, or, Tommy or Lance or Eric,
Dude, I had to race
whoever.
Josh
I mean,
Hill.
yeah.
You want to get?
That's a whole
you wanna
nother.
get
Yeah, the
humbled?
Hill boys.
Try getting a start on Josh Hill, and that's how you get humbled, because you're like feeling all good, and suddenly somebody just passes you and does some. What was it? Did you ever ride Alderdale?
No.
It was Eastern Washington. It was like in this valley.
No.
In between a bunch of farms. It's been closed for 8 to 10 years.
Wow.
Alderdale was a really fun track because it would go in and out of this valley, so up and down the hill,
That
up
would
and
be
down the
way
hill.
cool,
They had
yeah.
a lot of floater jumps, and I remember I was going out for practice, and I was feeling kind of spicy at the time. I had the fin on my helmet. I had the
fin!
chrome HRP chest protector. I'm feeling good. I'm hitting every jump. And so they had this nice loamy corner, and there was this double downhill. So you
Yeah.
kind of scrub the first one, pop the second one, and I'm coming into that, and out of nowhere, here comes Josh Hill, all of 14 years old maybe,
Isn't
a
that
little
something, man?
runt, and he block passes me, throws a hang loose sign because he knew who I was, like we knew each other, like that, and he quads it. Only rider I've ever seen quad it.
Just goes
he
big.
just going wide open, and he just slams the suspension into the face and quads down the downhill. I'm like, that's not possible.
I remember just getting painted by him at Woodland. Whipple's down there
he was
working
fast
with
at
him.
Woodland.
And he was just unreal. And Whipple, he loves to just stir the pot, especially when he's not riding. He's like, oh, he's going to get you. And I'm like, can I just do this thing? No, Pale, he's going to really come in and get you. And he'd laugh, Jay's got that infectious laugh that just the whole world can hear it. And it's like, yeah, okay, this is great. And sure enough, Hill would just come on, the whole back section where all the trees used to be, just on it through. I don't think he ever touched his brakes. It was like, yeah.
Josh Hill was one of the wildest amateur riders I ever saw, and he
Badass.
He honestly, if he would have trained a little more, I think he could have been untouchable. I just think he was just dripping with talent. Villapoto was one of those people who would just grind.
Oh.
Ryan, I remember him, even from 65s, he would grind. He'd put in so many laps. He put in so many ridiculous laps. I remember him at Riverdale. I was leaving because it started pouring down rain.
He's still out there.
And his dad's out there. No, go do motos. And I literally just sat in my van and watched.
Danny,
Ryan would just do lap after lap, and it's buckets. It's fall at Riverdale. It's pouring down rain, and
he's out there.
Villapoto is just literally just
Yeah.
grinding. Whereas Josh was doing it for fun.
Yeah.
And I loved his outlook on stuff.
Yeah.
Because he always did it for fun, and he always had that kind of loose style. But if he would have maybe grinded a little more, he could have maybe gone further. But who cares? Like,
You know what?
he had a good time. He had a fun style. There's still that picture of him losing
Yes.
his pants and him still finishing the moto.
Yeah.
Full butt cheeks
Yeah.
out on the wind. He
Yeah.
don't care. He's still finishing the
No.
moto. And
Both the Hill boys and the Villa boys.
Justin was a little more of a grinder.
Yeah.
I never thought Justin would get to where he was because he was always hurt. He always had, when he was really young, he was always hurt, always had a cast. Josh was always the star, the stud. And out of the blue, suddenly oh wait, no, we have to start looking at Justin.
Door opens, and they start going.
We've totally ignored Justin. Justin's actually the real deal.
I think the little brothers, they start to look up to him. And I remember Tyler, when Tyler, he was so fast as a kid, as a 85 rider.
Some of the best style I've seen on a dirt bike is Tyler Villapoto.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
He has that, similar to Josh, where he's just flows. He will do funky, weird things on the bike, and he's just having a good time.
Flat. At Grays Harbor last year at their dad's memorial, which was a really special event for me. I brought my, I don't know why, but I brought my 80 YZ250 and decided we're going to try to ride that around the track, and that was a great idea. But it was super fun, and watching, Tyler, wearing a flannel, smiles on his face, but just pitching that bike so flat everywhere. And Ryan, I'm like, why does he quit? And he's like, Pale, it's a whole new day. The guys are fast. I go, but that's fast. Ryan's laughing, going, yeah, but it's a whole year old. I'm like, I'm old. Damn it, I'm old.
Have you noticed, at least around here, it seems like whenever we have one fast guy, they always have a quote-unquote nemesis.
Oh, geez.
Jason
yeah.
McCormick, Ryan Huffman.
There you go.
Ryan Villapoto, Josh Hill.
Yeah, it goes
there's
on
always
and on. Yeah.
they always have one guy that's always on their tail.
Isn't that something?
And I wonder if there's something to that they literally feed off each other to get to that level. You know what I mean?
I mean, like I said in our conversation last night, getting started, when my first race for like 2 or 3 years was race series was Centralia Mudslingers. That's all I knew, rocks and mud and all that. Well, when I figured out I want to do this, right, 125 beginner or junior, whatever, beginner, it was this little guy on an 87 CR 125, and I'm thinking I had already been riding and had, gotten a trophy, I think I still got my first trophy. And I thought, okay, I get it. It's hard work, but this is kind of what it takes, whatever. And Eric Wanch was born, right? This little viper just right up my butt the whole time, and it's like, what is going on? This guy, we would get out, in a beginner race and get pretty far out there, and then the juniors, and then, he moved to intermediate before I did. I can remember being at Washougal trying an intermediate race, and Ryan Huffman going, "Why were you out there?" And I said, "I don't know, I wanted to try it." He goes, "Yeah, not yet." And I go, yeah, not yet. I was like, I think Ryan and Jason, they were so fast back in 90, 91.
Man.
Tiger Stripe Hondas, I could watch them all day still, those videos. If guys, and then,
Those guys
93,
can still throw
4.
down. Like, if they just wanted to hop on a bike.
I loved it, yeah. And you get them all out there. I mean, people always say, well, who's your heroes? Sure, Hannah, McGrath. I mean, I will always, those guys, all of them. But my local guys, our local guys, the Hill Boys and Smale and Hag and, Eaton and all the guys that I raced against, and even Eric. I cherish those memories.
We have some fast boys that a lot of people don't remember or don't know about, and they're tucked away. If we randomly threw together an event and they put a little work in, or like Top Gun or something, they'll come out of the woodwork, and you would be absolutely amazed how well, someone I've brought up a lot that I'm still trying to get on the podcast is Mark Bunker.
They're okay.
Mark Bunker is, he was one of the dudes that started racing around the same time as me, and he would destroy me. He's my age. He's a 2-time Loretta Lynn B class champion. No one even really remembers him doing any of that, and he'll just show up on a bike with slap-on numbers, no graphics or anything, and he'll maybe have full gear, maybe not, whatever, and then he'll get on the track and everyone's like, who's that?
Isn't that something?
And he will, he'll be throwing just insane upside down whips. I'm like, yeah, that's a 2-time Loretta champion.
Just on it, yeah.
But people quickly forget, and I'm like, we have a lot of those kind of guys.
The Larson boys, who I loved. That's that whole.
And even in your era, okay, around here, so we have Don Baseflew. I don't know if you ever raced Don.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
If you've ever raced Don, you'll remember racing Don because he would clean out anybody.
Now his boy did some stuff too, right?
His kid is
still
fast.
Yeah.
Preston.
Yeah.
So Preston literally moved up from 85s to a big bike. I think Preston's 14 right now.
Yeah.
He made top 10 in the B class at Loretta's.
He's
only been on a big bike for a few months.
Wow.
And he's fast.
Don was a machine at Hangtown. I can remember just the few times that I had been down to Hangtown over the last 10 years and watch Washington guys kind of, some were fast, some were not, whatever. But the Oregon guys, whatever, some of these guys just get this stuff dialed and they can go. A track is a track is a track. Well, me, it's almost like, wait, that's, you got to feel it all, and just some of these guys, they could take all the time in the world off and climb back on a motorcycle. And like I was saying last night too, I had the privilege of being with, Phil Larson and Mikey Larson in the 90s. I was really enamored with Brothers Power Sports, and my heart will probably always belong, part of it to Brothers Power Sports, because I had worked there and rode there, but off and on over the years, and they're like family. It's really funny that a team, as a young man, 21 years old when I first showed up, Jeff Nielsen, the owner, took me under his wing, and I'm got to meet Mike Healy and all these people.
Mike Healy, yeah.
I went and picked up Chuck's son, you know, at the airport for the Dealers Challenge. We would pay to fly him in, Uncle Chuck, if you're out there. But we would go and...
Pre-Top Gun than the Dealer Challenge.
Oh, yeah, Dealer Challenge, yes, yeah, that's right, International Dealers Challenge.
Did you ever get to hang out with Ron's son?
A little bit, just at the races around, yeah.
Ron was like the quiet brother, but
fast
that boy
rider.
could be fast.
Yeah.
I've told it on the
Those guys.
podcast. I literally, it was a Washougal practice day for the Jones Creek Trail Riders, and I'm out riding, and Ron got a little thick for a while.
I think I remember that.
Ron got really thick for a while, and some guy on a KTM with hardly any stickers or anything on it threw a whip as he passed me and charged up the hill. I'm like, that guy's 300 pounds. Who is that? But
man,
he went so fast. I'm like, who on earth was that? And afterwards, I asked my dad, and he's like, I don't know. And I was walking around the pits like, oh, that was Ron.
That was Ron, yeah.
Dude,
and that's
he went so fast, and honestly, he's like, I couldn't really zip my pants up, and may he rest in peace now.
Yeah, isn't that
Ron
crazy?
was honestly one of the friendliest, nicest dudes. And he's another one of the people with all the natural talent. Chuck, everyone knows Chuck's son.
Yeah, oh, yes, sir.
I mean, he had a jump named after him.
Uncle Chuck,
Everyone knows Chuck's son. But a lot of people forget that his brother was a wild man and could ride. He was just, I feel like he was, I think not
the
as
brother
social.
thing, right?
Not as social.
Yeah, the brother
Who was
thing.
older?
He was the older one, yeah.
Was Ron older?
I think he was.
I don't remember.
I don't either, but I want to say he was, but I don't know. Maybe the guys out there
Yeah, we'll
will
ask
know.
on the after show because
I should know.
So Ron used to work at the Gresham KTM shop, and that's how I got to know him when I was really young.
Cool.
I never spent a lot of time with Chuck. I've met him a couple times. A nice dude. He was a nice dude, but like I've spent some serious time with Ron's son.
That's awesome.
And he was honestly, I feel like he never got the right rub because he was one of the friendliest, nicest guys. He just was a little on the quieter side.
Right.
He never threw his name out.
I don't think, some of these guys, I mean, and that's respectful. I don't know, I think as a young guy, I was so, enamored again with watching all these fast guys, your Scott Steffies, your Larsons and Smales and all
Oh, you're really blowing up Scott. I guarantee he's watching right now, and he's like, oh.
Yeah. I need some more goggles, Scotty, too.
Hey, Scott, I could use another set, too. I'm just saying,
Hook a couple guys up.
We're bringing you up a lot.
Yeah,
so,
sorry.
Maybe a set of viral goggles.
But it's funny because those, their riding would kind of build their brand, right? You hear people talk about building your brand. I never knew, 30 years later that the nickname Pale Rider would have been like, for me, I get people all the time, like, hey, Pale, and I'm, it's cool, but it's like, wow, it's funny because I never would have thought that would have been building your brand, so to speak, whatever your fun loving life rock and roll motocross thing, whatever that is gonna be, and here it is 35 years later, and you're I'm just appreciative of it. I'm appreciative of Eric Eaton's father helping me out. I'm appreciative of Jeff Nielsen and Brian Nielsen giving me bikes, which as a young guy, learning about sponsorship the hard way, I wasn't always the sharpest tool in the shed, right? I thought, yeah, okay, I used to buy my race gas out at European Cycles. So I went in one day and Eric's dad says, hey, would you do me a favor? Well, I was riding for Brothers, I have YZ250 and 125 and whatever, all the stuff, working out there too.
So you worked at Brother Power Sports?
Yeah,
for a while?
selling bikes and all that.
Was this after your dancing career?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Just checking.
Yeah, just making sure.
Just checking here.
Oh, look, I gotta go. It's no. Anyway, but Marshall was just a great guy and always methodical. And I'd always kind of come into the shop with my hair on fire, chain lube and this and that. And Tony Boughton, who was another pro back in the 90s, he had just gotten an 02, well, in Millennium too, but had gotten a new 02 125 SX. And I was blown away watching his starts and just the way this bike would run, I was just, I mean, it was a stock 125, and I had like a 137, you know, and Mike Velasco, and they hot rodded it out and did all, and it was great. Well, you know, Marshall said, would you do me a favor? You know, real nonchalantly, like, well, yeah, what can I do to help? Because he's always giving me good deals on fuel and stuff. He said, would you take this 125 down to Puyallup and just ride it for me and let me know what you think about it? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, you know, I can do that. I thought he would just, you know, ride it for a few laps or whatever. Well, you know, I'm down there and somebody, you're whatever, second a lap faster. And I said, oh, baloney. Well, Brian Nielsen was up in the stands watching, and, you know, here we are getting ready to line up. And he said, get your ass off of that bike. And I realized at that moment, oh shit, I'm not even supposed to do this. And I mean, I guess I know, and I was old enough to know, but you know, when you're thinking I'm helping, I'm not, this isn't a big deal. I'm just Donny Proctor, you know, I'm married at the time. It ain't gonna matter, you know, I'm just gonna ride a few laps. Well, it did matter, you know, and I kind of messed things up between old Uncle B and I there for a while, but learning, you know, again, learning about all that, learning about sponsorships and learning what to do, what not to do. And
there's a lot to it, and it's a never-ending game of trying to figure out how to do it properly.
Yes, sir. I mean, look at, like you're saying, promotion, right? There's a way to do that. Your clothing. There's a way to do sponsorship. I mean, I try to, sometimes when I'm talking to the kids at, you know, with the riding schools, it's not just about, you know, racing a motorcycle, but it's about life. It's about, you know, you're going to learn these skills, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but learning how to talk to people, work with people, working on a bike. These are going to carry over in your life down the road, and that's what I really try to share, you know, in a loving kind of a martial art way. But then sometimes, you know, people don't always get it, and they just want to go fast. You know, a lot of the 2-year and out club, you know, riders that you'll see, they've been racing 2 years. What happened to that guy? They're out. They just go wide open, do all the things, and then their hair's on fire, and there's a bike over there and part of it over there, and they just want no part of it. They're done. You know what I mean? It's like they're just over it. And so I try to put all that together. And
so what got you into the whole coaching thing, to transition from the rider,
yes, sir,
to the coach?
That is a really funny thing. A couple of factors. I can remember that I was racing, and Wanch starts. Like
what era are we talking here?
We're talking, let's say 92. About 92, geez. Yeah.
So I'm on a PW50.
Oh, boy.
I'm on a PW50, and I can barely talk. Okay.
Yeah, I do have to go. No, it's time. It's been great, guys. No.
92.
92. And I remember going to probably Washougal, and I seen Wanch with the trailer, right? Little trailer set up. Eric Wanch motocross, and he's got chairs, right? And I love the guy, but when we were racing, you know, and I liked him all through racing, but when we were probably on that line, he probably didn't care for me much, and I probably didn't, you know, want to wear.
That's like me and Wanch still.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, but I respected him, you know, and I just was like, well, what the hell? How he
is the fastest midget I've ever met.
You little sawed off.
I know he's watching. I know he's watching.
I can't say it. Well, I'll tell that story here in a minute. But I seen him, you know, about a year ago, and I think he may be taller than me now. I don't even know. No. Okay, no, good.
Not at all.
I still got you. No.
Not at all. Having now met both of you, no, you got him.
Perfect. But
he's gonna clean me out the next time.
Oh God, yeah, he's probably just gonna slap me. It'll be fine though. It's good. He had his chairs. He had all these chairs set up, and he's pulling them out. He says, "Hey, Pale." I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Teaching motocross schools." And I'm thinking, well, and you know, and I was envious, but I was like, well, how in the hell you just can't show up and do that? Well, yeah, you could. And he did, and he was doing well. And all of a sudden, you know, there was a guy that Whipple and I knew, his name Mike, and I don't know his last, Mike Lindstrom, or Lovestrom, was working for Tacoma Park District, Ready to Ride program.
Okay.
And Honda had sponsored the Ready to Ride program, and somehow, some way, Lovestrom said, I'd like you to, come out and start working with Jay Whipple. Well, my stepdad kind of took over our race program at the time, and he says, always telling me, I want you to go over there and introduce yourself to Jay. I'm 21. I mean, the guy doesn't want to meet me, and I don't want to meet him. I mean, he's, a pro. I'm not. I see him ride, and I don't want any part of it. I'll just watch him, and that's good. No, get over there and meet him. I don't want to do it. So we go over there, and I introduce myself, and pretty soon one day Whipple says, yeah, Mike said, you want to come out and work with me? And I said, yeah, maybe, whatever. So I start doing this Ready to Ride stuff. And one day Whipple's looking at me, and we're working with kids doing motocross stuff, and he said, what do you want to do with this stuff? And I'm kind of kicking the ground. I want to be a pro. What was that? I'd like to be a pro. It's just face red, whatever. And he goes, you want to be a pro? You want to train to be a pro? Yeah, I'd like to do that. He gets this little smirk on his face, and that's where it all went downhill for Pale Rider from there, because many cleanouts, many arguments, many just rough days, and but we did it, and started doing well and doing better, and then I think by '95 I dabbled with a few intermediate races, and I said, forget it, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and just start racing the pro class. And then I asked the AMA or CMC guy, and they said, oh no, 6 more months. And then I was kind of ashamed of myself, like, God, what was I thinking? What a dummy, And so I worked hard, and then they gave me a shot at SIR, which is now LSR, Smale Speedway, I like to call it.
All right.
And I was nervous, and I'd rode out there, and the guy pulls me over, and he says, Donnie, don't think about me, just go out there and ride your bike. And I said, well, can I just have a few laps? He said, take all the time you need. I'm like, okay. And I'm just, somebody's watching. This is a big thing. This is what I've always wanted, right? And so I'm trying to put it together, and luckily they passed me. But when I had to do the indoor part of it, good God. Yeah, I mean, I'm everywhere,
But you got there.
I got there.
So when you get to that point, what decides that you want to teach other people?
So
because you saw some of these other local pros.
Yeah, doing it. And
honestly, I mean, like a couple of the people you listed they're good moto coaches. They've done a lot.
Been great.
Like Whipple and Wanch, they've trained a lot of dudes.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I was, after racing with them and becoming friends with both of them, and having some just epic battles, as kids with Wanch and stuff. Just, I mean, and even racing pro, goddamn guy, he would just ride that bike so wide you think he was on a Harley bagger, and you're up in the air going, everybody stop the event because there's no room. He's taking all the airspace, and I want to go home. There's nowhere to go. And but it was great.
Which is why you have to learn to just start smashing.
Yes, yep, and not
because he'll do it to you.
Nice. Oh yeah, no, I learned really quickly, and Whipple used to say, quit being so goddamn nice, I'm going to break your leg. And I'm thinking, please don't talk to me like that.
Don't break my leg too, right?
I just don't want to, but yeah, so I just got focused, and we were at Jolly Rogers, and Whipple, a guy fell, broke his leg, and I said, I'm done with this shit. I want all the money. I'm going to go do my own school. And Whipple said, you can't do that. I said, Wanch is doing it. I'm going to do it. And I just went out and started doing it. And one of my first biggest schools, I asked Dallas Nyblood to go, and I think we had 36 riders at Port Angeles, which was too much. I would never do that now. But I had groups, he had a few, I had a few, and it was a great day. It was really fun. Now I believe in 6 to 8 riders, no more. I like that, and I like to give them a full day and take breaks and not scream and yell and whatever. I mean, everybody learns differently, but I like to kind of do a positive, like a martial art message, or whatever. Still works, still sweat, but
we never even went into the whole martial art background at all. And we actually have to get going because it's already been an hour, man.
Holy cow!
And we're going to have to shut this podcast down here in a moment, but we still have the after show.
Yes, sir.
So we
I'm
can
all
go
in.
into more of the martial art thing.
Yes, sir.
It's something we both have an interest in.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, we could, I feel like we could be here all night talking about all the old stories and
Yeah, that
people we
first
know
one,
and
whew,
fun
boy,
stuff.
that one put me right over the bars. That was a pass, like right on the first lap. It was like Justin setting the pace right there. It was good.
I feel like that was a great start. I really feel like this is going to be one of the most entertaining podcasts we've done.
Oh.
And I'm really sad that Reese is not here. But hey, is what it is. We get to have a fun time and talk. So
that's
we can come
awesome.
back. We're going to do the after show. Any final words on this episode?
Definitely. I just want to give a shout out to my daughters. I love you guys very much. And this is your old man. I'm not giving it up anytime soon. God bless you both.
All right, man. Cool. Well, let's wrap this up. This has been Moto Monday number 120. Thank you, sir, for coming on.
you.
We'll come back here in just a few minutes and do our after show and maybe do a little Q&A with some people watching and have a good time.
Thank you, guys.
The Pale Rider.
Oh, yeah.
Donny Proctor. Thank you, guys. We'll be back in.
Thanks.